Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Flower Power Live. Today is May 24th, 2021, and it's getting to be pretty beautiful here in New Hampshire. We're getting some nice hot weather over the weekend, and all the plants are really excited and starting to grow a lot more. So I was out working in my garden, and I was preparing an area to put in some tomatoes. And it's always really hard for me because all of my friends are growing out there. All the weeds that I love so much that have medicinal uses and are edible. But I wanted to pull these out, and there was a lot of yellow dock growing out there that I needed to take out to put in the tomatoes. And so, well, this is considered a weed too many. It is definitely one of my herbal allies, and so I thought I would share yellow dock with you today. Now, I wouldn't normally be harvesting roots or talking about roots that much this time of year, because unless it was really early in the spring, because fall tends to be the best time to harvest roots. All the nutrients and nourishment from the upper part of the plant has kind of returned to the roots for the winter and is stored in there. So it tends to be the best time to harvest roots. But I had to pull these up, so I'm not going to throw them away. I use yellow dock regularly. Now, yellow dock is Rumex crispus. It's also known as curly dock. And that has to do really with the curly dock has to do with the shape of the leaf. You can see how it's got that kind of curly edge on it there. This is a very common weed, and it's also a perennial, and for years I thought it was a biennial. So perennial comes back every year, and a biennial grows a low rosette in the first year, and then it puts up its flower shoot the second year and dies. So now I know that my yellow dock is going to be around for a lot longer than I thought. I don't feel as worried about digging it up. But the leaves can be very different depending on what kind of condition it's growing in. Sometimes they can be really twisted, and sometimes they can be much more smooth and flat. Now, the flowering stalk is tall. They can get up to almost, I don't know, like maybe even 4 feet or 3.5 feet. This is one that I dug up that is got a huge root on it, and it's got these tall, these are the flower stalks starting, the shoots starting to come up, and those will make a bunch of flower heads. Now, last summer, there were some growing that were just like these gorgeous colors. And so I just hit the ukulele there. I decided to harvest some of these to make a dried flower bouquet. It was very inspired. And I've got some phragmites, these grasses, and this is actually Queen Anne's lace in here, and some of this curly willow, I think. And so this reddish, deep red color here is the yellow dock seed head. And I didn't realize that the yellow dock is in the same family as buckwheat, and so it is edible. You can actually harvest these seeds and you can grind them up into sort of a meal, maybe make some crackers or something out of them into like a flour meal. And you can also harvest the leaves early in the spring. I probably wouldn't harvest them now, but early in the spring when they're still very tender before it starts to flower, then you would be able to use those like a green and cook it up sort of like spinach. So one of the things that I like to show people, and I'm just going to show you a picture of this, is the difference between the yellow dock and the dandelion root. So in these two pictures here, the yellow dock is on top, and you can really see why it has the name yellow dock, because the roots are extremely yellow on the inside. Now on the bottom picture, that's a dandelion root. And I went out to dig up some dandelions because I was going to show you these live, and I really couldn't find hardly any dandelions. I think I've been harvesting too many dandelions. I got to let those grow a little bit more. So the yellow inside like that is the distinguishing feature of yellow dock. So if you want to harvest them and you're not sure, just break them with the root and you will definitely be able to tell. Now these are some of the roots that I dug up, and I think they are just hilarious, and they look just like little people dancing around, making a little dance. So there are some of the dock roots, long skinny tips. Now, the yellow dock has been used, has a long history of traditional use. And so it's mostly used for the digestive system. It is a balancer for the liver. It's something that can be taken, you know, in sort of a tonic type of a tea. I usually put it in my like nourishing tea blend that I take daily when I remember. And it can also help with, I didn't realize this, with excess acid and acid reflux. It just helps to kind of like balance the whole stomach acid. It contains a lot of different mineral nutrients like iron and phosphorus. And this is not uncommon in roots because they tend to accumulate whatever's in the soil. So that is going to vary depending on where your dock is growing. They can also help to reduce a voracious appetite. And a lot of times people that are overeating are the ones that are getting acid reflux. So that could help a lot in that area. And it also can be used as a mild laxative and helps to just sort of like regulate bowel movements. Now, according to Matthew Wood, a person that needs yellow dock has an elongated, pointed red tongue with patches of white on the back or in the mouth. And this sounds a lot like thrush, well, yes, yellow dock can be used to help with thrush. And yellow dock is usually taken either as a tea or as a tincture. So that would be an alcohol extract. And that is the most common way to use it. And making root tinctures is super easy. One of the fun things about working with plants that I like to do is using what's called the Doctrine of Signatures. So the Doctrine of Signatures is a way that we can observe a plant's shape and its growth characteristics, the color, and other properties about it, and relate them to the human being. So, for example, Matt Wood says that the yellow dock, let's look at our little root here again, is a sort of man-shaped root. A man-shaped root. There's your two legs pointing down, right? And it's really pointy on the end, indicating the downward direction. And so it's a man-shaped root that helps to move things through the digestive tract. The other thing is that it's a root. So roots are commonly within Doctrine of Signatures. Anything that's in the lower half of the plant is good for the lower half of the human body as well. And lastly, the yellow color is associated with the liver and being good for liver. You know, we think about jaundice, and that is a liver condition where your skin kind of turns yellow. And so yellow dock is used for liver as well. So it's kind of fun to look at those different doctrines of signatures. And if you're interested, you can search that up and find out a little bit more about it. Now, yellow dock is not one of these plants that attracts us with its beautiful, gorgeous flower. You know, it's got this flower stalk like this, and you can see there's literally hundreds of seeds on it, but the flowers are very small and subtle. So it's not the traditional kind of bloom that we normally think for a flower essence. But yellow dock is a quite useful flower essence. The yellow dock essence is used for when you need to sort of stand your ground and stay rooted firmly in place, especially when there's like sort of a storm brewing all around you. It helps to alleviate the tendency to panic in a crisis type of situation. Now, according to Primrose Apothecary, yellow dock helps remind us to stay grounded when we are faced with life's challenges that can be hard to digest. Like an anchor, yellow dock reminds us we are infinite, abundant, and supported by a strong foundation of Earth's divine design. And Great Lakes Sacred Essences suggest that yellow dock promotes a strong sense of self while instilling an ability to stand tall and comfortably in situations or competition or not situations of competition or non-support. So one of the ways it can be used is in a job situation where there's a lot of conflict, such as politics. Are you a representative or senator? You might need some yellow dock. So again, like I said, yellow dock is not one of these like beautiful, big, showy flowers. It's a plain good old weed. And for that reason, it doesn't really appeal to the people making all these like beautiful flower cards. By the way, dandelion showed up again. reminding us to have a playful year. But so there, I didn't find a specific flower card for yellow dock, but I decided instead to pull a card from the Akashic Oracle by Mel Shapcott. I love her cards. They're just so beautiful. So this is her artwork on the back there. And the cards pretty much know what we need to hear, right? This one is called Thoughts in My Head. When your head spins with all that life has shown you, and you begin to grow weary on your journey, release all expectation and attachment to linear thinking. Watch as patterns evolve and cycles emerge to guide you from the chaos. Now, that just really hit me because we're talking about roots here, right? And linear thinking, too much chaos in your head, is about the opposite of being rooted. We spend too much time in our thoughts. I say this all the time. And I'll often, I'll try to make decisions more like a heart-centered decision. Even that, because it's balancing so many things and there's a lot of sort of emotion can be involved in those kinds of decision making. Even that can be too much. And so at this point, when we need to release all of this, it's time to just get down to the root, which means basically going into the physical body where there's this kind of energy can be released. A lot of people, when they get stressed, what do? They go for a run, right? So exercising, that kind of physical body experience where you're in the moment can really bring you down more into your core. And now the root chakra, which is the very lowest chakra at the base of the spine, this is all about being connected to stability in life. So it means things like our basic needs are met, we have good habits and routines and physical exercise and things like that. Mantras, our internal dialogue is all kind of solidly grounded, and getting back into the body can just really like slow down, like I said, our frenetic energy. So yellow dock is showing us that, this is a really down to earth root. It's a long tap root, and burdock has an even longer root, which I will probably talk about burdock in the fall. But these are showing us that grounding ourselves is just a really, really important practice. So as we are moving into summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, we have this tendency to get even more unrooted. On a normal year, who knows what the summer is going to be like, hopefully better than last summer. We'll be doing a lot of traveling and socializing and things like that. And so you want to make sure that you have these practices that can like reground you and keep you rooted, and stay really connected to sort of like the slow, vital heartbeat of the earth. And so one great way to do this is to kick off your shoes. When was the last time that you walked barefoot on the grass or the sand, or just even on your deck, and take off your shoes and just try to sort of reground? There's a lot of information that shows that our sort of energetic body can be rebalanced by physically having our feet on the earth's surface. So these kinds of simple practices are really important, and they tend to get ignored. We don't have time for them and so on. But as we're moving into summer, or in a situation where you're feeling a little overwhelmed, remember to get back into the body, get some of these habits and practices going, and help you reroot down to the earth, just like yellow dock and all the other herbal ally friends that grow out all around us. So that's our message for tonight. And I want to thank you for joining me on this week's journey. And I wanted to check in because some of you may have joined me for my herbal immersion 5-day challenge. And I'm going to be doing another challenge called Coming to Back to Your Senses. And it's going to be really about how do we use different plants and herbs to really connect to our different senses and just have a more sort of vital living experience. And that'll be happening around the end of June, right around the summer solstice. So keep your eye out for that. I'll be running it out of my Flower Power Facebook group. So if you're not already in Flower Power, just feel free to join up. I will put the link down below. And until then, have a wonderful week, and I will see you next Monday. Bye-bye, everybody.